All right, looks like I'm doing this with one hand again. It's a great opportunity to show somebody how to change some brake pads. And in this particular fashion, we got a 98 Toyota Camry. Really easy car to work on. Relatively simple brake job, probably one of the easier brake jobs you'll do. Now, before I even get started, I'm gonna tell you, do not, and I repeat, do not dress like this. When you're working on a car like this, you want to always wear the proper equipment. As this cause, I'm a seasoned mechanic, but it still doesn't make any excuse. But I don't recommend people working in flip-flops. I prefer to, but maybe I'm asking for it. Then we got this situation right here. As you can see, that's the torque wrench in the background. I'll show you how to use that in a little bit. But oftentimes you want to lift the car and put it on jack stands. In this particular fashion, I just got it on a lift, simple jack. I skipped that step. Maybe one of these days I'll make a video about it, but I just want to make a really quick video about what you have to do. I've already removed the wheel. Okay, that's the first thing you want to do. You want to take that off while it's on the ground, loosen the lugs, lift it up in the air, then zip it off. Once that's zipped off, you're gonna need a 14mm socket. That's all you should really need for this job. Now, to push the pistons back, there's different methods. We'll get to that in a second. But for this particular fashion, it'll never come off that loose. But obviously, I've already kind of loosened it before I started making the video. So, all right. So what I like to do, once I loosen it, I'll bring it up, hold it just like that. See? Now this right here is the piston. That's what I was talking about. But sometimes you can kind of push it back by hand, just a little bit. In this particular fashion, you can see the scoring inside of there. So it really won't push back. And in this particular fashion, you see the spider webs and all that stuff on there. This bad boy is done. Okay, so yeah. Long time coming for these pads. This is literally like a worst case scenario for these brake pads. All right, literally, like you're pretty much riding on nothing. And for reference, I'm going to show you the other one. Trying to do this all in one shot and make sure it's not edited. But while I'm looking for this other one, I'll show you. All right, so looks like I found it. And it appears as though the person who had this car, oh man, what in the world? I guess these came pre-greased. Normally they don't, but just for comparison, let's look about the same size. All right, that's a brand new one, and then we'll look at the thickness here. So yeah, big difference. I'll go ahead and pause and then show you how I'm gonna push this piston back. All right. Okay, so I went off screen real fast to show you this. This in my hand is a little C-clamp. You can get these at Harbor Freight for pretty cheap. Around like $2 or $3, if that. All right. One thing I want to mention again, even though I got on these flip-flops and it looks a little goofy, notice I'm about, 10 inches away from the car. And that's not by coincidence. I don't ever want to be underneath this just in case this fails. You could literally sever a limb. So you want to make sure you're a good distance away from it. Still be able to work on it. I'm pretty long and lanky, so I can kind of get to it. But that's one little quick tip, though. If you want to keep your limbs, make sure you have it. So as you can see, I'm fixing this like this, right? Okay. I'm doing this all with one hand. Normally it'd be two. I'm gonna put this on this piston like that. A little harder with one hand, but I guess I'm not good at this one where I can do it with one hand. Okay. Put this on this piston like this. All right. So again, don't do it with one hand, but see, I position it a decent away. I want the back of this to really be down a little bit more, but that's decent enough. All right, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna start turning it. Hold on, let's see if I can do it with the other hand. All right, that's way better. All right, so now that it's on there, we start turning this. And we're gonna push that piston back. This thing that I'm pushing back, this is a piston. This is the piston sleeve. But this metal thing right here is a piston. This particular caliper is called a full floating caliper. And then you have other types, you know, where are fixed pistons. Caliper, where they don't move. I don't want to get too technical on how each of them work. But for the case of this video, we'll just talk about which one this one is. All right, full floating caliper. Sometimes with the fixed pistons, you'll have them on both sides. Instead of just this side, you'll have it on that side as well. And it's better stopping power. But for this video, again, we're just worrying about pushing this one piston back. All right, so I guess you guys kind of get the drift. What I'm gonna do is pause and then come back. All right, now we got the head. You can see that piston is all the way back. Now I see all this brake dust and all this stuff. You do not want to inhale this stuff. Normally you can even wear a mask around it. But again, I'm a decent way away from it, so I'm not really too concerned with it. But what I'm gonna do, you see in my hand, you get some cheap brake parts cleaner. Brake parts cleaner. And you don't have to be liberal. Just go ahead and bam. Take it up, clean it off. Now this particular rotor is a little bit, honestly, I would change them. But for the purposes of this video, I'm gonna go ahead and just go ahead and fix it though. All right, just get it up in there. Another good practice, you know, people love to change what is called the brake hardware, okay? These are sometimes get close to these rotors like this right here. You can see that. It's close to the rotor. And the rotor is this, for people who don't know, okay? It'll start making noise. The pads will be perfectly fine. People change them to kind of limit that brake noise. For this video, we're not going to do that. But I am going to change this pad. So what I like to do, I normally come and make a comparison. I see if it's the same size. Okay, and that's looking mighty similar to me. So I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna seat it just like this. Look at this, note how I twist it just a tad so I can get it in there. All right, and this rotor is actually moving, so it's definitely basically on its last leg. We're gonna probably have to change these rotors here, but it's gonna be a whole lot better than what it is right now. So all right, so normally this is kind of an experience thing. This portion at the bottom right here, this little ping, it's normally facing downwards or outboard. This didn't have it. I'm thinking that the person essentially just took two brake pads or whoever and just put them in there. Well, we're not really concerned with that. I can see. So it had that, as you can see it down there, but it seemed like it must have came off because it was so badly worn.